Every year, more than 100,000 people in the United States alone are infected with a bacteria that modern antibiotics cannot kill. MRSA. Methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, a superbug that has evolved to survive every pharmaceutical weapon thrown at it. Hospitals dedicate entire wards to containing it. Patients die from infections that should have been routine. The pharmaceutical industry has spent billions of dollars and decades of research trying to solve this problem. The solution has been growing in backyard gardens, on roadsides, and in the cracks of stone walls across the Mediterranean for 3,000 years. Its name is oregano, and what science has discovered about it in the last 30 years should have made international headlines. It didn't. The history. Long before penicillin, long before pharmaceutical laboratories, long before the concept of an antibiotic existed, ancient civilizations already understood what oregano could do. Greek physicians used it to treat bacterial skin infections, respiratory illness, and infected wounds. The name itself comes from the Greek aureus, meaning mountain, and ganos, meaning joy. The plant that brings joy from the mountain. Roman soldiers carried it into battle, not for cooking, for medicine. When a wound became infected, and infections killed more soldiers than combat, oregano was applied directly to the site. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, documented its use as an antiseptic and treatment for respiratory and gastrointestinal infections in 400 BC. For 3,000 years, across dozens of civilizations, this plant was medicine, not a spice, medicine. Then penicillin was discovered in 1928, patented, manufactured, sold. And oregano became something you put on pizza. The science. In 2001, researchers at the Department of Agriculture in the United States conducted a study that should have changed everything. They tested oregano oil against 5 different bacterial species, including Staphylococcus aureus, the precursor to MRSA. The active compound in oregano oil, Carvacrol, demonstrated significant antimicrobial activity against every single one. That was just the beginning. A study published in the Journal of Medical Microbiology found that oregano oil was effective against clinical strains of MRSA, the antibiotic-resistant superbug that kills tens of thousands of people annually in hospitals across the developed world. Not just effective against strains that had already defeated multiple classes of pharmaceutical antibiotics. The mechanism is now understood. Carvacrol disrupts the cell membrane of bacteria. It attacks the structural integrity of the bacterial cell itself. Bacteria cannot develop resistance to this mechanism the way they develop resistance to antibiotics. There is no evolutionary pathway that protects a bacterial cell membrane from Carvacrol. This is not a minor distinction. This is the fundamental problem with antibiotic resistance, and oregano addresses it at a biological level that pharmaceutical drugs cannot reach. A 2019 study published in Frontiers in Microbiology confirmed these findings. Carvacrol and thymol, 2 compounds found in high concentrations in wild oregano, demonstrated broad-spectrum antimicrobial activity against both gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. The research is not obscure. It has been published in peer-reviewed journals. It has been replicated across multiple countries and research institutions. Why you have never heard of this? Here is what the research cannot answer. Here is where science ends and economics begins. Carvacrol is a naturally occurring compound. It cannot be patented. A pharmaceutical company cannot own oregano. They cannot manufacture it exclusively. They cannot charge $200 a bottle for something that grows on a hillside in Greece. The global antibiotic market is worth over $45 billion annually. Every dollar spent on a natural antimicrobial that cannot be owned is a dollar that does not flow through that system. This is not a conspiracy. It is a business model. Research that cannot generate a return on investment does not get funded. Clinical trials that cannot lead to a patent do not get run. Treatments that cannot be manufactured and sold at scale do not reach your doctor's prescription pad. The science on oregano and MRSA exists. It is real. It has been replicated. It sits in public databases that anyone can access. And the people dying in hospital wards from antibiotic-resistant infections have almost certainly never been told about it. What you need to know. Not all oregano is equal. This is critical. The oregano in your spice cabinet has been dried, processed, and stored in conditions that degrade its active compounds. The Carvacrol content of commercial dried oregano is a fraction of what the research was conducted on. What the studies used was wild oregano oil, Origanum vulgare, sourced from Mediterranean regions where the plant grows in high-altitude conditions that concentrate its active compounds. The Carvacrol content needs to be above 70% for the antimicrobial effects documented in research to apply. This is not the same product as the bottle next to your pasta sauce. Wild oregano oil is available. It is not expensive. It has been used medicinally in Mediterranean cultures continuously for 3,000 years, not as a supplement trend, but as a household medicine that was never replaced because it was never forgotten. In the rest of the world, it was replaced by a patent, by a pill, by a system that had no financial interest in telling you that the answer was already growing in the ground. The bacteria are getting stronger. The antibiotics are running out. The research on what grows in your garden has been sitting in scientific journals for 30 years, and almost no one knows it exists.